Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are joined today by Jerome Horton. He is a member of the Board of Equalization in the state of California. And I want to talk to you about sales tax.
Yes.
So when I buy a book off Amazon, I know I'm charged sales tax. That was a deal that was passed a few years ago. At the time, Bob Dutton in the Senate, he forwarded that deal and got the parties together. But if I buy software, if I go to the Microsoft store and buy Word, they're going to charge me sales tax.
Right.
What if I just download it?
Well, that's referred to as a click-through,
Okay.
Brad. So if you click through on the internet and you download it directly into your computer, it's actually exempt. But if you go to a big box store and you purchase it, it's taxable. The distinction is tangible personal property. Because when you buy it from the big box store, the manufacturer's already placed it on tangible personal property, and so therefore the perception, the belief
perception.
is,
No, I get it.
Yeah, is that you're buying tangible personal property, therefore is taxable. If you click it off the internet, then you're buying intelligence.
Well,
and
what
intelligence is not taxable in California, although taxable in 33 other states.
I was going to ask you that.
33 other states. You know, I mean, under the pressure, I mean, California itself has been, as you know, Brad, they've been putting off a number of things, infrastructure, social things. They just put it off.
Right.
You know, well, you know, those things are going to come back to haunt you. Potholes and, you know, the challenges we have with homelessness.
But it's
and so
interesting you mentioned that 33 other states tax the download.
The download.
When, you know, California is considered a high tax state, but in this instance, not so much.
When it comes to information technology, the computer industry, California is the most favorable state to be. That's why, you know, over half of all venture capital investment is invested right here in Silicon Valley, Silicon Beach, and so forth.
So what do you think? I mean, you are one of 4 or 5 on the state's taxing agency.
Yes.
I presume these issues are being presented to you. Look, I can see arguments both ways. Look, if you're going to buy it at a store and you're taxed, why shouldn't you be taxed if you download it? But the flip side is, you know, do we want to create an environment where we're taxing every single transaction willy-nilly?
Well, the theory with this particular industry is to give it enough freedom so they can grow and create the jobs theoretically it's supposed to create. Now, there's some debate around whether or not it's creating California jobs, whether or not we're harvesting intellectual property here as far as students who are graduating and living here in California. That debate still exists. And so it's a larger debate that I believe the legislature will take on and trying to determine the benefit of taxation.
So is this an issue that must be decided legislatively, or will the BOE be required to make a ruling?
The Board of Equalization will make the ruling. There's a case, the Lucid in the Nortel case, where the Supreme Court has decided that these things called technology transfer agreement sort of established that the intent of the party is to transfer the intelligence and not the tangible personal property. The tangible personal property is nominal. So there's a bright line test that we have to establish to determine when is tangible personal property so significant that tax should be applied, and when are we talking about intellectual property and you're just giving someone an idea?
Sometimes you go home and you start downloading stuff.
All those downloads are exempt in California, taxable in 33 other states.
So let me ask you, let's say the BOE makes a decision to tax or not tax, either way. Can the legislature come back and pass a law that would be in contravention to your ruling, and therefore that would be the law?
Well, they could, Brad, but you know the legislature better as well as I do. If the Board of Equalization takes the hit and says something taxable and generates more revenue,
the state's not going to.
They're not gonna.
But what about the reverse? What if you say no?
If we say no, they could come back and say, well, we want to take another look at that.
Right. Okay. I want to talk about some seminars that you have coming up. You always do great work.
Thank you.
I will admit that I was honored to be a moderator at your Women in Power conference.
You did a fabulous job.
What a phenomenal day it was for me.
3,500 women.
Right, and they were very kind to this man in the room. But now you have an event coming up in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yes.
On December 5th. This is phenomenal. It's a non-profit empowerment symposium. Dig deep for us. Why is it important that the BOE speak with nonprofits?
Well, you know, the Board of Equalization oversees the Welfare Exemption Act and a certificate for nonprofits. We also there's also legislation that deals with taxation on nonprofits and so forth. So we'll make sure that they're all complying with the tax law and that they are taking full advantage of the exemptions that are there and available.
I'm glad you said that, because full compliance
Yeah.
is usually to their benefit.
To their benefit,
right?
To take advantage of it. And at the same time, nonprofits are the driver of they're how we maintain our social responsibility to those folks who need it the most. And they're out there doing the work, often at a lower cost to the state. So it's only smart that we invest in nonprofits. We want to show them how to gain access to the revenue and how to manage the revenue once they get it. And then how to build collaborations with other nonprofits so you can address the larger problem, not just focus on a singular problem.
And so the event is Monday, December 5th from 9 to 3:15. It's at the SoCal Edison building, right near the charter facility, actually.
Yes.
The cost is very expensive at a total amount of $0.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free,
It's free.
which is good. I do want to recommend that folks register early.
Yes.
The website, we'll put that up, of course, is boe.ca.gov/tax events.
Yes.
I'm amazed at how successful your seminars have been. I mean, you have your VITA seminar, which is the Voluntary Income Tax Assistance Program.
And we have about 15 different small business seminars to teach small businesses how to gain access to the resources, how to comply with the law, and how to minimize the frustration of taxation. The goal here is to stimulate the economy and not tax the economy.
Right.
And so education is our greatest enforcement tool.
Right.
And on the Board of Equalization, the equalization part is significant. We want to give businesses a second chance. We want to give taxpayers a second chance to get it right. We want to help them
that's the bottom
avoid.
line. And it's interesting, the BOE was created in large part, I mean, 100 years ago, to kind of be the voice of the taxpayer.
We were to level the playing field for property taxes, equalize property taxes.
Right, and only elected tax board in the nation, I believe.
Only elected tax board in the nation.
So coming up in January, you have a really exciting event. It's a trade conference at American Jewish University on the top of the Sepulveda Pass. I know it's a little off, but tell us about that conference.
Well, Brad, $160 billion was traded in California internationally. And what we find is that many small businesses don't know how.
Right.
Several California businesses are just simply afraid. They're afraid of the culture. They're afraid of the law. They just don't know. How do you do business in another country? But as our research tells us, is that folks in Japan, China, Canada, well, they're equally afraid. But they want to do business in California.
Interesting.
We got 38 million people by 2050, anticipated 50 million customers here in California. So it's time that we began to help California business expand domestically as well as internationally.
And are there California state consequences of which we should be aware when we trade internationally?
There is appropriation laws that for appropriating your income. How do you appropriate the income between California and other states? So you want to make sure other nations. You want to make sure you're in compliance with that. But we also want to make sure that you're aware of the 20 different trade agreements that the President of the United States has signed, and with 14 different countries, and how significant they are to our future of California's economy.
His name is Jerome Horton. He is a member of the Board of Equalization in our great state of California. My name is Brad Pomerantz, coming to you from Los Angeles on Local Edition.